There's guys that have PTSD from the shit they've seen in front of them. And there's guys that have survivor's guilt. And I think that's more of what I've dealt with, you know, survivor's guilt. I wish I was there. Every fucking minute of my life, I wish I was there.
Day one, I kind of knew I wanted to be a Ranger. I didn't want to join the Marines, and I kind of started searching what I wanted to do. So I really wanted to just be in a prestigious unit that had the funding to, you know, directly be a combatant with bad dudes. So.
I explain to people that being in the Ranger Battalion was probably the most exciting time of my life. I guess you talk about it, you train, and then you're actually on objective, you know, in an alleyway, and you're taking rounds. And so it's, I mean, you knew you were going to be around a level of soldier that wants to be the best of the best. And who else would you rather go to war with? You know, you're never going to see that again. Just being in the civilian world and being part of other special operations teams, I still know I'm never going to touch, you know, what I experienced in the Ranger Battalion. You know, I have a brother, and I still feel closer with some of my Ranger buddies than I'll ever feel with my brother because it's just, you know, what we've experienced together.
I'd say when I hear the name Barraza and Brehm, I honestly, heroes, and I don't use that term lightly.
I remember the first time I saw him. He was a beast. I mean, stocky, big Mexican guy. You know, that's the vision I've had in my head was, that's a fucking Ranger.
I think very seldomly do you meet people that in any environment can kind of control it for the better, you know, in any capacity. He's just a leader. Brehm was one of my favorite people as well. He was a shorter guy, kind of really short hair, more maybe restrictive in a social setting. Really like the epitome of what a Ranger should be. Knew everything from head to toe about what you should be doing in your job, and then disseminating that information, not withholding it to make himself look better.
And that's where he was Sergeant Barraza's team leader, and those two together were like, they were a force to be reckoned with. They've raised privates with the same mentality.
Well, the target set in RAMADI was really transitioning. I think anybody that was there in 06, it was getting real nasty down there. So they kind of used the regiment guys to go, you know, go handle some hate and deliver it to these bad dudes. If you're deploying in maybe a Ranger Regiment capacity, it's very, very dynamic. I hate to use that word, but sometimes even that night when you show up, your kit has to be ready because you're rolling on a mission. The op tempo was very high. We were going out at least one time a night, almost that whole time. I mean, in the span of 6 months we were there, which, you know, around 180 days, I guess you look at it, we probably did, you know, 150 missions, 160 missions. That night, I think anybody that's been in the military, I would call it spidey senses. There's a sense of displacement. Sometimes you're like, this is the norm, I'm used to this, but there's a once in a while where like, but it's literally a spidey sense. Like, I'm not feeling this. Like, guys, be on your game tonight because we're not feeling it. We'd already gone loud and we were compromised. We did what a call out is, literally getting on the horn with the interpreter, telling everybody to come out of the building. We did the call out, and it was the most bizarre thing. There was like 16 people that came out of this house. And I remember sitting there waiting. I was like, why is there so many people in this house? This is like really bizarre. And I remember this lady, she swore up and down. She's like, no one's in the building. I swear to Allah, no one's in the building. And I was like, okay. As one of the privates went to throw the flashbang in, he threw it in when he was supposed to, but went to go enter prematurely. Barraza grabbed him and pulled him back, which kind of unknowingly decided his own fate. We heard Dale communicate to us that they'd pretty much been shot, and that's when we made way to the door. You know, from a perspective of, at that time, you know, we hadn't really taken casualties in our platoon. Seeing the people that are supposed to tell you what to do are both unconscious on the ground. It's a very confusing moment, because you're like, well, what do I do? And it's ultimately that point in life where you're like, well, I have to make the decision whether it's correct or wrong. And the private and I made a decision of all right, let's try to get, you know, Dale out of this room. I jumped into the room as much as I could to grab Dale. And at that point I was 100% sure I was gonna get shot, but I can't not do that. It's the right thing to do. So I jumped in, pulled him out, and I started rendering first aid to him, because we didn't really have the manpower to enter that room, because if we would have gone in there, I mean, two guys, if we got shot as well, then the follow-on squad or teams would have had no understanding of what was going on. And by the time they got to us, they brought the medic in, started working on Dale, and we couldn't frag the room, obviously, because Rick was still in there. So we made entry, about 3 of us, flashbang the corner, and then the combatant was in the corner of the room, already kind of wounded. We engaged him and made sure he was done, and then pulled Rick out. You know, coming back in the room, I remember I was thinking that there was some order to the chaos that had just ensued, but then walking into the building, there's, you know, another 5 Americans just completely bloody all over the ground. And I remember I stared there for about, I don't know, 15 seconds, just kind of blank staring, all right, what just happened? What do we need to do?
Sergeant Red was contacted, and then he contacted me. And then from there we had a battalion formation where it was put out to everyone. Sergeant Brehm and Sergeant Barraza were killed. And from there we started the procedures with contacting the families. So from there I was tasked to gather their personal belongings. Sergeant Barraza is the type of individual that demands respect when he walks in the room. Just the stuff that was more heartbreaking to read was things that were on his locker. In case of emergency, please send to, and it had his mother's address. And then underneath that it would say, but don't fucking worry about it, because I'm a badass motherfucker, I'm coming back. Things like that is what made it harder. Because, I mean, how we all looked at him. He was our superhero, and when he was taken out, you know, we were all pretty vulnerable.
I often hear guys divulge this information that consists of thoughts of survivor's guilt. And that's a natural human condition and process of, you know, you kind of wish that it was you. But then if it was you, put yourself in the shoes of your buddy. And I think by appreciating sacrifice, happiness is found. Your mind is often very vulnerable to a wandering mind, and what I mean by that is, left alone, we all sometimes come to our own devices where we're like, hey, I could have done this, what if? You know, that is a scary approach to life, because it only takes you down a path of destruction. There's no happiness found in that road. We've all made mistakes. I've made so many mistakes in my life. Every single person out there is vulnerable, and it's important to live your life in the legacy of those who have sacrificed.
Everything in my life has been focused on what Sergeant Barraza would have done, you know. I believed in what we're doing. It's something I can wake up every day and know that I'm doing my best to help other veterans who struggle with transition, who deal with post-traumatic stress disorder, who have lost individuals that they love and they can't get over it. I feel like what we do as a company is hopefully getting guys over that hump.
What we need to do as a community, especially with the sacrifices of a lot of guys like Dale and Rick and thousands of others in this generation that have sacrificed life and limb, is live in their honor. I mean, I can't figure out another way or another way to think other than that.
You know, I still have dreams of him, and we're talking, and he's just like, "What are you doing? What are you doing with your life?" You know, and I want to be able to tell him, like, "I'm making you proud," you know. And I'm just trying to continue to do that because I believed in him. I believed in what he had to say. I believed in him and Brehm and their leadership styles, and I want to continue to be in that for them because I know they can't. And so every day, that's my motivation.
What has really motivated me in my adult life is I've lost a lot of good friends in the community throughout the years. I've lost a lot of people that I wish I could continue to go drink a beer with and hang out with. But it's not a choice, it's an obligation for me to live in their sacrifice, to live in their legacy, and consistently on a day-to-day basis, they would want me benefit others and just live a good life.
I think he'd enjoy what Article 15 stands for and what we continue to do. His humor, that's I think him and Brehm would love it. So yeah, I think they'd be proud. But I don't think we're done, you know? We continue to live our life with them every fucking day.